November 13, 2014. A date which will remain engraved in the memory of this dog. Before this date he was nothing, without a name, without an owner, without a home. He was a stray dog, poorly fed, poorly cared for, beaten. He was half dead in the jungle of the equator. However, on this date, this dog had an encounter that changed his destiny forever. This is the story of the Real Arthur, the dog who ran more than 400 kilometers, through mountains, jungles, rivers and plains, ending up in Sweden, with the man who took pity on him on the day of the encounter. In November 2014, the endurance championships of more than 700 kilometers took place in the mountains and jungles of Ecuador in South America. One of the teams competing was Team Peak Performance from Sweden. Made up of 3 Swedish competitors, Mikael Lindnord, Staffan Björklund and Simon Niemi, and 1 American, Karen Lundgren. Little did they know that this race would not only test their physical limits, but would change their lives forever thanks to an encounter with a stray dog. It all started on the afternoon of November 13, 2014, on the 4th day of racing in a transition zone between cycling and trekking. A stray dog who had a large open wound on his back, and was clearly suffering from hunger and neglect was approaching of the team. Mikael Lindnord, the captain of the Swedish team, felt compassion for the animal. And despite the grueling demands of the race, Lindnord took pity and decided to share some of his food to feed the frail creature. He gave the dog one of the meatballs the team carried as supplies. To the surprise of Lindnord and his teammates, and after eating the meatball, this weak stray dog started following them. The team attempted to lose its new companion, fearing that transporting the animal would jeopardize its racing performance. But the determined dog persisted and continued to follow them, limping on his injured leg. Lindnord realized that the dog had latched onto this simple act of kindness, and was unwilling to separate from the team. Little did Lindnord know at the time that this scruffy, lame animal would not only become part of the team, but also part of his family. And that this encounter would give birth to a remarkable story of loyalty, endurance, and bond between man and dog. Much to the surprise of Lindnord and his teammates, the stray dog refused to stop following them. For the next 6 days, the dog followed Team Peak Performance as they ran non-stop over 250 miles of the dangerous Ecuadorian jungle. Mikael named the dog Arthur during the race.
Even if he was wounded and really damaged, he still had this aura around him. So I think he deserved the name Arthur. Like a king.
The racing conditions were grueling. Competitors suffered from high altitudes, oppressive heat, dense vegetation and swarms of insects. They had to cross mountains, rivers and swamps, facing flash floods, venomous snakes and predators. Sleep was limited to brief naps in damp, muddy camps. The course was so difficult that a third of the teams dropped out due to exhaustion, injuries or navigation problems. However, remarkably, Arthur persevered and kept pace with the athletes. The dog followed Lindnord's team on foot through the jungle trails, never falling behind. When the team built rafts to cross sections of rivers, Arthur would swim after them, determinedly paddling with his front paws to stay with the raft. The dog refused to feed or rest if it meant being left behind. At night, while the competitors slept in their bivouac bags, Arthur kept watch, patrolling the campsite to ward off predators. He would position himself on the outskirts of the camp, ready to alert the team of any danger emerging from the darkness of the jungle. During the final leg of the race, which involved kayaking 34 miles on the water for approximately 14 hours, they were told by race marshals that they could not take Arthur. Team Peak Performance agreed and scheduled to leave Arthur behind. However, Arthur had other plans, and once Mike, Simon, Staffan and Karen put their kayaks in the water and left, Arthur started swimming in the water after them. It was too heartbreaking for the team, and Mikael helped Arthur get up in the kayak. By the end of the 6-day race covering 250 miles, Arthur had proven himself to be an invaluable member of the team. His loyalty and tenacity matched those of the world-class athletes he supported. This skinny jungle wanderer had demonstrated profound courage and athleticism, running, swimming, and persevering. The Ecuadorian team had heard about the dog, and approached Mikael's team after the race saying, "Do you realize that if you don't bring the dog back he will be killed here? It's the culture here." Mikael quickly called his wife, Helena, and said, "I think I want to take him home." It was not an easy process to get Arthur 6,455 miles to Sweden. It was also uncertain whether the seriously injured dog would survive. The team launched a Twitter campaign to raise money to bring Arthur home. He desperately needed veterinary care to treat the large infected wounds on his back he had suffered in the months before encountering the team. Additionally, Arthur would have to stay in dog quarantine for 120 days when he arrived in Stockholm on November 20, 2014, before he could go live with the Lindnord family in Örnsköldsvik, located 300 miles south of the Arctic Circle. Arthur finally returned home in the spring of 2015. Arthur settled happily into the Lindnord family. He bonded closely with Mikael's young children, who adored their new canine companion. Arthur's incredible journey from a half-dead wanderer in the jungle, to a member of an elite adventure racing team has captured the attention of media around the world. His display of unwavering loyalty and athleticism has won the admiration of sports fans around the world. Arthur's story showed the depth of heart and mind that exists in animals, and the powerful bonds that can form between humans and dogs. Arthur would spend the rest of his years happily in Sweden, enjoying cozy beds, regular meals and lots of love. Mikael Lindnord has written 3 books including the bestseller, Arthur the Dog, Who Crossed the Jungle to Find a Home, now the film Arthur the King. Arthur died at 11:48 a.m. on December 8, 2020, 6 weeks before the film began filming.